Well, the crypto market is falling this morning as a result of some pretty ugly CPI data that just released about 6 or 7 minutes ago. And so in today's video, I want to talk about exactly what this news means, what it can mean for crypto moving forward, what I'm doing now, and much more. And so since we have a lot to get into today, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into the video. So what you can see here is that CPI data actually came in at 3%. Now, the forecast was that it was going to come in at 2.9%. And if you don't know what this means, quite simply, CPI data is a collection of numbers that show how prices for a group of consumer goods and services change over time. Put very simply, this is just inflation. If prices of things for consumers are going up, inflation goes up. If prices for consumers and things are going down, it means that inflation is going down. Now, naturally, we want to see right now that inflation is going down because, of course, lower inflation means we are getting closer and closer to quantitative easing, which is a good thing here for the world of crypto, but that's not what we saw. What we saw, again, is that inflation actually came in higher than expected, meaning that it was over expectation or over forecast, and that's never really a good thing. What this means is that what the Fed is doing right now isn't working as much as they hoped that it would. The different, kind of things that the constraints and restraints that the Fed is placing on the economy, whether it's the raising of interest rates or quantitative tightening to try to slow the economy down, are not working as much as they hoped they would. Now, is this it coming in 0.4% higher or 0.5% higher? No, it's just barely higher than expectations, but higher at all is just simply not that good. Because what this means is that the Fed is going to have to start reconsidering some things. Are they just going to leave interest rates higher for longer? Are they going to raise interest rates, which I don't see happening? Are they going to have to, kind of go into other forms of quantitative easing? What are they going to have to do to retaliate to this news? That's what starts to cause the problem here, right? Because a lot of people in the crypto market are under the expectation that this year we will see quantitative easing, we will maybe see some sort of money printing, we will see the dollar weakening, we will start to see money becoming cheaper, more liquidity, all of these things. But quite frankly, you can't have those things in a period in which inflation is not going down, right? You can't have those things in a period in which inflation is out of control. Because to be honest with you, even though it's not going up like crazy, it's nothing to be all dramatic about, it is out of control because it's not coming in as they would hope. It's not coming in as they would expect. And if you actually do look at inflation data from the previous couple months, you can actually see what I mean. You go look at October 2024, that was a 0.2% increase. November, 0.3%. December, 0.4%. January, 0.5%. This is steadily climbing since July of last year. And then obviously there are seasonalities of this, but this is seasonally adjusted, meaning that it's simply just going up month over month over month. We are seeing inflation rising, and that's just not a good thing. It's not what you want to see, especially when we are aware that the only thing Jerome Powell cares about, who's the head of the Fed, is reducing inflation, getting inflation back down to 2%, and it's going in the opposite direction right now. And so the likelihood here is that they're not going to like this. The likelihood here is that they're going to have to start considering whether or not they pause completely on the idea that they'll lower interest rates. They'll have to pause completely on the idea that they'll start real quantitative easing this year. And if that is the case and they continue to place those handcuffs on this market's probably not really going to go anywhere. It is going to take time. And the reason why the crypto market is responding so poorly to this, which is what we will talk about in a second here, is quite simply people are recognizing that this bull market that we're all hoping for, this big growth, this altcoin market, whatever we're expecting, it's just getting delayed and pushed back further and further and further until the economy can give the crypto market the opportunity to make growth. And that's not going to happen in a period like this. And so people are getting impatient, they're getting frustrated, and they're selling. If we actually do head over back to the charts, you can see how things are going, right? We go look at something like crypto bubbles on the 1 hour, give it a little refresher, you can see what happened. I mean, the market didn't like this news. We got Hex and Algo and PLS and HBAR, everything down, literally nothing being spared today. That also does transpire out to the dailies. It transpires out to the weeklies. It also transpires out to the monthlies as well. The crypto market has not been responding well to this period of sideways consolidation that we've been in, especially as altcoins have been getting absolutely destroyed. And this is only going to add fuel to that negativity fire. I do expect a lot of pessimism from the market after today's data. I do think a lot of people are going to be upset and get very discouraged from this. I think they're going to be very bothered by this. I think they're going to really, again, start getting impatient. And although that does offer up some opportunities for people like myself who are willing to buy during times like these, it's just not particularly what you want to see happen. If we do head over to the charts, you can see the immediate reaction to this news wasn't great. You look at the 1 hour, for example, and you can see we did have a pretty ugly candle here on the 1 hour. And it's not particularly just tanking right now, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely not looking fantastic. It's not what you want to see from the market, especially as we are getting back towards the bottom side of this HMZ. Just not particularly a great day. I saw obviously this I saw this structure here. We were in some sort of descending structure, and there was kind of a back of the mind thought like, hey, if we do see the CPI data come in better than expected or at expectations, maybe that is going to be what causes this market to try to chase back towards the top side of the HMZ. But it's really just not been the case quite yet. And it does feel as if this market is going to need a catalyst, or it's going to start, maybe we do see Bitcoin head back towards 90, 89, $88,000, and things are going to get real suspect once we get down towards that bottom threshold. And so with that in mind, we're kind of just in a position right now in the market where, you just got to take it for what it is. At the end of the day, we're not in a great spot as an economy. We're past catalyst season in the world of crypto, and that is going to inspire a lot of people to feel as if, they're losing their bullish momentum. They're losing their bullish sentiment. They're going to start getting bearish. They're going to start feeling like there's no way that this market can run, and that can last a while, right? We saw something very similar to that back here. If we actually head back to last year, we saw something relatively similar in which this crypto market really just spent so long just going sideways. I mean, if you just kind of look at what happened last year, we spent so much time going down and going sideways, leaving a lot of people feeling like, man, this market's never going to get out of this. The only difference back then was that obviously we knew the presidential election was coming, and that could be a catalyst to push us out of here, which is what it did, right? And so because of that, in these periods in which we enter into a moment like this, especially with CPI data coming in worse than expected, it is going to cause a lot of negativity in the market. And you need to understand that it's going to get ugly. A lot of people are going to be very annoyed by this. They're going to be bothered by this, disturbed by this, discouraged by this, and they're probably going to sell. And the way that I'm looking at that is, okay, well, it sucks. I'm not gonna lie. It is a little bit annoying because, quite frankly, I'm tired of being in this HMZ. I don't want to stay in here much longer. It's just honestly getting under my skin. But I'm not going to allow that to make me impatient. I'm not going to allow that to force me to do anything I don't want to do. So all I'm going to do is I'm just going to say, hey, you know what? Although this is frustrating, although this is aggravating, I know history says that in moments like these are some of the best times to get your dollar cost averages going. When everybody else is bothered and annoyed and discouraged and impatient and selling and shorting, that is one of the times to be accumulating. And so that is what I'm going to do. I actually do have an intention to do a pretty sizable accumulation today. Nothing gigantic, obviously, but it will be sizable enough to make a difference if I am right, because we are now approaching the bottom side of this channel again. We are now approaching that key support level where history says we should have some support here. The bulls have stepped in every single time we've gotten down towards these levels, and I'm expecting them to some degree as well. It isn't a gigantic purchase, again, because I don't do anything gigantic within HMZs, but again, it is big enough to make a difference, if that makes sense. And I'll probably do some buying on Bitcoin and maybe a little bit on some of my altcoins, but I'll focus on Bitcoin because we are in a more Bitcoin dominated portion of the cycle right now. If we do head over to liquidation data, you can see there is actually some pretty good signs flashing right here. If we go to the 1 day, you can see that we are now seeing the majority of our liquidations pretty much targeted towards the upside at this point. The 1 day, the 7 day, and especially the 30 day all see a sizable differentiation here, right? If you look, we are now sitting at nearly $11.5 billion worth of liquidations towards the top side, which tells me that, people are shorting the market. Everyone is expecting that this market's going to fall. All of these leverage traders are betting that this market's going to go down. And history says that when everyone starts turning on the market, when everyone starts getting pessimistic, everyone starts worrying and getting impatient and screaming that the bull market's over and the top is in, that it's usually not. The bull market doesn't usually top until everyone doesn't think it's topped, right? And this is showing me that everyone's expecting the top to be in. And, if you go out and you go look at certain things, right, like the RSI heat map, for example, let's go out here. Look at that RSI heat map. You go to the 24-hour. I mean, basically every major altcoin for the most part is down in the weak or oversold zone. You look at the weekly charts, very similar. They're below neutral towards a weak as well. You look at even the friggin' 12-hour charts, and the majority of these are in this weak zone, right? Most people are just selling. They're getting out. Most cryptos are oversold. Most cryptos are overextended to the downside. Everybody sat here just betting that this market's going to fall and that we are going to see crypto just go down. And when that happens, those are the moments where I, again, do the most accumulating. And so what would it take for this market to recover? I honestly don't know. We're not entering into a fantastic period as an economy. I do think that the Fed is going to sound a little hawkish the next time we hear them speak, which won't be good, but I'm not going to go against my fundamental principles. And my fundamental principles say that in times like this, where everyone's betting this market's going to go down, everyone's giving up on this market, I go against the tide. I swim against the grain. I'm going to do some purchasing. And so with that in mind, I am going to do a little bit of buying today. As I mentioned before, predominantly predominantly on Bitcoin, but I am going to accumulate on some of my altcoins as well, especially the ones that are hitting key support levels, such as something like SWE, such as something like Solana as well. And so that's my game plan and strategy for the day. I'm going to keep it very simple. And for those of you in the school, I will be announcing all of those purchases in about an hour to 30 minutes to an hour or so roughly over in the Insights with Tyler Hill section. I did give a full update yesterday if you did miss it. Over on just kind of my thoughts about the market right now. So feel free to go check that out. And again, I am going to post those purchases over in the school in about 30 minutes to an hour roughly. Now, if any of you who are watching are interested in joining the school, I will let you know our mission in the school is quite simple. We take crypto investors like yourselves. We give you courses, coaching, classes, live streams, workshops, signals, and more to help you define your strategies. Now, the reason this is so important is because in a market like this, quite frankly, the only way to actually make gains is to have a strategy. If you're just kind of hoping for the best in a market like this, you're going to lose. You're going to get liquidated. It's just what's going to happen. And whenever I tell you we're seeing real gains, we're seeing real gains. I'm not talking about small gains. I'm talking about big gains. Even on days like today and yesterday, you can see the hundreds of percentages, $10,000 in gains there, $700 in gains there that are coming out of this community because they're developing strategies that work on days like today, days like yesterday, bullish days, euphoric days. It doesn't matter. These guys are able to generate gains anywhere at any given point in the market. And so if that is something you're interested in, again, I will let you know it is in the link in the description down below. There's a $17 a month option and a $5 a month option just for another couple of days before we do make some pretty big changes. So feel free to check that out if you are interested. The last thing I want to tell you about is if you do want to start getting some free money, especially during a time like this, you can check out my link to WEEX or WEEX down in the description below. If you do literally just sign up and you KYC if you want to, you can get up to $30. You don't have to KYC to trade on WEEX if you don't want to, but they will give you some extra money if you do. And once you do start trading, you are going to get a ton of bonuses. We're talking up to $10,000 in bonuses available for you down in that link down below. So if you do want to get to trading today, feel free to go check that out in the link in the description down below. But overall, it's a pretty rough market. It's not great news. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you guys, but I am willing to swim against the tide. I am willing to go against the grain because history says that these are some of the best times to be buying. And even though I'm not going to be buying a lot, I'll at least stick to my strategy and buy some so that I know that I am sticking to my fundamentals. But I am very curious about your thoughts down below. Let me know what your plan is. Are you buying? Are you selling? Are you logging? Are you shorting? Are you simply just holding on for dear life? What's your game plan? What's your strategy down below? Let me know down there. And I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Peace out, everybody.